Hi, this is Mark from Altcoin Buzz, and today we're going to take a look at Bitcoin on the USD charts and see what might be happening over the weekend, or at least some key points to be looking for over the weekend into Monday. The market having a very good day. There's a lot of green showing up in the top 100 coins today. 24-hour volume ticking up over the last day and a half or so, almost $24 billion. That is no small feat. Some money coming back into the market, a very bullish sign. But as you can see, that volume really being spread out amongst all of the top 100 coins. Bitcoin up about 3.5% today, Ethereum up about 11% today, and XRP up about 23% today, and almost, I think, 100% over the last few days. So a lot of that money moving across the board, which may not fare well overall to the Bitcoin charts as we get into them. But let's take a look. So I do want to start off on the USD 1 hour chart, and the reason I want to do that is because I want you to look at these two candles that we had right in here. This large candle on large volume dipping down, designed to take out all of those long positions that were sitting back down in here in this swing low position. Then the next candle back up, designed to take out all of those short positions that were most likely sitting right in here at this 65.51 price point. Design move, manipulation, whatever you want to call it, that's what those two candles look like. And when we go to the 4 hour chart, that's what you end up seeing. Now we're going to take a look at the 1 day chart. Looking at the 1 day chart, this is where we had that large drop off, looking like we could have been setting up into a little bit of a bull flag here. Large drop off, but we did hit that support line that we talked about. This was one of the areas that we didn't want to break through, or we were at least watching. There are a couple other areas, and I'll put those boxes back on the chart here in a minute. But we did have that breakdown, but we maintained support on this trend line that we've been looking at. That's one thing to be conscious of, because as we go through the chart, that's another area that we're going to stay focused on. We've got this resistance range that we've been looking at for the last couple weeks. This resistance range has been set up on a number of things. Obviously, we've got our horizontal support and resistance line that we've got going across here, right where our price is basically sitting right now. We also have the Ichimoku cloud that sits up right there. If we pull that in, you can see the bottom of the cloud is here. This is also where the 382 on the Fibonacci lines up, and we talked about how this, when we took this down cycle in here and we rebounded from it, we only got to the 382. When we took this down cycle here, we rebounded from it and only made it to the 382. We've taken this down cycle here, and this is where the 382 lies. So this is concerning for me because it's a pattern. I talked about that in a couple other videos. So we've got that 0.382 resistance area on the Fibonacci. We've got this 21-day moving average as a resistance area. We've got our 50-day moving average crossing down over our 21-day. The last time that happened was back in March. That was the last time that our 50-day had crossed over the 21. We've had the 21 cross over the 50, but that was the first time we had the 50-day cross over the 21. Or this is the first time it looks like it's going to cross over the 21, or has. Now, this is happening right at where the price is, so the potential for that to pull the price down may not be as great, but it is still there as a potential influence. It certainly is downward pressure for us. We've got downward pressure from the horizontal resistance line. We've got downward pressure from this Ichimoku cloud top resistance at about 68.50. There's just a lot of things going against us. Now, if we look at the momentum indicators, we have some room to move down here on the stochastic RSI. And theoretically, if we could continue to get some volume coming in here and positive volume, that could take us up to the top of this resistance and start trading into the cloud. We did have a very nice move on our RSI crossing over the moving average. Now, we want to see that come across this 50, this midpoint, because this on its own does not give us an indication that we're going back on a little bit of a bull trend, but it is encouraging. You can see where we crossed over it back here in August. That's when we got that nice little run back up. Now, theoretically, we could stall here and start seeing all of these start to trend a little bit back down based upon the fact that, at least on our lower time frames, this is still acting as a lot of resistance. Now, the other thing that we should be aware of is this is going to be where we want to see our support level settle in at. Based upon the VPVR, or volume by price, this is where we want to see our support fall in at. If we retrace back down, that's sitting at 6,500 down to the point of control, which is now sitting at about 63.50, call it. So if we do have a pullback over the weekend, we're going to be looking at these zones in here. Ultimately, we do not want to break through this bottom trend line that we have in the blue. Preferably, we want to find support in this $6,500 range, or at least the point of control at 63.79. The point of control is where a lot of the volume has been traded in over the last couple months or few months. So if we were to come back down and kind of consolidate in here or trade in here, that wouldn't concern me too much. What would concern me is if we broke through this trend line. We were looking at it before, we were able to hold up on it even with this big candle down, and that's where we want to stay. If we come up and we break through the resistance, then we want to see us settle back in here at support of about $6,800. One last thing that we're going to be looking at from a long-term standpoint, what would be fantastic is if we just said this is our 50-day moving average right here. And if we just kind of continued this out, it may start to trend up a little bit because of this price action. So let's just say that we ended up finding some resistance in here and coming back down. Ultimately, this would be a very encouraging area to settle on. If we did come back down and test this support area of the $6,500 and then came back up and broke through the resistance and came back down and tested on that 50-day or even back in this previous resistance area and then trended back up, this would be a very encouraging and bullish sign for Bitcoin. This could show a new markup. This would be, from a Wyckoff standpoint, a spring back down in here and a new markup for a new bull trend to be coming into play. Too soon to tell if that's going to happen yet, but long term, that's the kind of price movement that we're going to be looking for. So with the manipulation that's been going on this chart recently, it's not a time for me to jump in on Bitcoin. I want to see if it can retest and find support back in here or on this 50-day moving average, and then what it's going to do to this resistance area in here. I will have a chance to potentially buy back in after the breakout on a retest somewhere in this area. I feel much more comfortable with doing that than where we're at right now. So that'll wrap it up for Bitcoin today. Hopefully this was of help to you. Don't forget to join us on Altcoin Buzz.io, where you can find those articles that will be written all day long by some very talented writers on the fundamentals going on in the market. You can also link very easily to our social media there. Also, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, also the alert button, the little bell, so you know when these videos pop up. And until next time, may all your trades be good ones.